the show. My name is Sarah Cade.
And I'm Liz Stevens.
And this is Disney Princess Deathmatch.
So exciting!
Yay!
Dun, dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun, dun. This week we are talking about Belle from Beauty and the Beast. This movie came out in 1991.
That's right, because it surprised me. I really thought it was later. In fact, I was trying to tell Sarah that we were doing Aladdin next, that Aladdin came before Beauty and the Beast, and I was completely wrong. So mea culpa.
Yeah. Yeah.
How's that feel, Liz? How's it feel to be wrong?
It happens so rarely.
Well, I think I always put these two movies almost even together, actually, because they were the two that played the most continuously in my childhood. Like Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast were the two that were always going and that I knew all of the words to.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think maybe because they appealed to the boys and the girls a little bit more.
Oh, that's right. And you had a little brother.
I had a brother,
okay.
yeah.
And I was
my
like,
mom,
what?
Why does that even matter?
Why does that matter? What are you saying?
No, well, I had a brother, and then my mom ran a daycare.
That's right.
So there were always like 3 or 4, 8 or 9-year-old boys running around too.
Yeah.
And they were super into both Beauty and the Beast and even more so Aladdin.
Well, of course.
So yeah, because of course Aladdin's got a male protagonist for the first time. And this one actually, I was noticing, has a male villain for the first time.
Yeah, for the first time in our Disney Princess series, we come across this male antagonist in Gaston. And the other interesting thing is that Gaston and the Beast's eyes are both blue. So it's the first time that they've ever had a Disney protagonist and antagonist have the same eye color.
Now that is interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh. I can see where they would usually, want to make them as much opposites as possible.
Right.
But even like their stance, like they're both big hulking guys, and super like the upside down pyramid look. You know what I mean?
Oh,
They're
yeah,
all shoulders.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Okay.
Belle is also the only one in the entire little French village who wears the color blue, and they made that a very distinct choice because they wanted to show how much she stands out from everybody and how different and set apart she is from everybody else around her.
That's fascinating.
Nobody else in the whole
realize
village.
That. I didn't realize it because what I was noticing because of course we open and we have our beautiful the stained glass window prologue, which is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's very lovely.
A little bit lengthy for kids, but I never minded because it was so beautiful. So, but then we get right into her big provincial life song,
which I think is the first time that we coined the phrase the "I want" song. It had.
Oh,
I mean,
is
like,
it?
I don't know if that is fact. I didn't see that anywhere when I was doing research, but I feel like because we've talked about before how the Disney princess will get her "I want" song, or in like musicals and things, they'll have the "I want" song.
Yeah.
I mean, like Belle straight up says "I want" like several times over.
I want so much more than this provincial life.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I just knew that as I was watching this, there were a couple of things that struck me. And what struck me about her costuming was actually not that it was the only thing that was blue. I didn't notice that. But I did notice that it really harkened back to Cinderella's costume.
Oh, yeah, with the little apron.
With the apron and even the bow in her hair.
Yeah.
Tied back the little blue bow in her hair. And the shoes, too. Just that, the little
the little
simple
flats?
black flat. Yeah. So I was thinking that she reminded me a lot of Cinderella.
That makes a lot of sense.
And also that particular blue is called French blue. It's like, it's.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So, well, I mean, I'm sure it's called a million things, but like
colors.
if you tell, exactly. But if you tell an interior designer that you're thinking of French blue in a room, that's the color that's going to come to mind. And really all of the color scheme, as soon as we get into the town, is provincial. Like if someone said provincial French colors, just like if you picture in your head like what an Italian kitchen theme restaurant is going to look like, you get all those like rust and brown
reds
and stuff.
and tiles.
Exactly. Yeah. So for French provincial, you get a lot of yellows and reds and blues and lavender. So I could really see where they were using this color palette to evoke their time and place for you. And I also loved that the backgrounds in these scenes, because remember when we watched Sleeping Beauty, we talked about how the backgrounds were done in that like Renaissance period style. Well, this is really in the style of a lot of the great French painters. Like it's a little bit more impressionistic.
Okay.
And even further back than that, but it's really hearkening to those just classic landscapes. So I loved watching that and seeing all the art in the background, and that it was really elevated. It was a different kind of art style, but it was not that animated look at all. It was very much like Belle was walking through a painting.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the colors of this film and the tone of this film. I enjoy this movie. Like, it has never been one of like my absolute super favorites, which is weird because that first song, that Belle song, where the entire town is singing about her and she's going through and singing, that is one of my all-time favorite Disney songs because it goes so long and it's so very reminiscent of a Broadway musical, and there are so many different parts and things like that. Like, whenever I'm listening to my Disney Princess station on Pandora, I love when that song comes on because I'm like, I know how to do like all of her parts. Absolutely, I can execute them perfectly. I know how to do all of it, and it's great. And then whenever they put the Broadway version on there, it's slightly different, and I'm always
just
like,
enough
I hate
to mess
that.
You up.
Just enough to mess you up. Yeah, just enough to where you're like, what? It's like when you go to see your favorite band in concert, and you're like, you guys are doing it wrong. Like, just do it like you do it on the album. That's all I want. That's how I know how to sing it.
Yep.
I learned that they had actually considered bringing back Jodie Benson to be the voice of Belle for this movie. Yes. But one of the directors was like, no, we want somebody with a more European sounding voice. I have no idea what that means.
What does that mean?
I don't know what it means. But they ended up selecting Paige O'Hara instead. But
is lovely.
She did an absolutely amazing job. Totally great. But yeah, that first song, it's excellent. You get all of the characterization that you need about Belle, like just right there, bam, 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 like right immediate up front. You know exactly what is going on and exactly what this girl's situation is. And it's almost like a secondary prologue, kind of. Maybe not quite. Not really, because I mean the stained glass is going to be like your prologue, but then like we do take a little bit to get to the inciting incident, which is
that is true. Maurice, well, it's setting. It's just setting, right? Setting.
Yeah, I guess it's just expos.
New, and then the new character. But you're right though. We do get to know Belle right away, and like that song tells you her personality. It tells you her internal struggle.
Right.
And we see that she, I think, maybe more than any of the princesses except Cinderella, in my opinion, because I love Cinderella, but I think that she is instantly likable in a way that maybe the other ones took just a little more warming up sometimes.
I see what you're saying, but I disagree because I feel like Ariel was instantly likable.
All right,
but
fair enough.
We just, that's the name of the game. Is subjectivity.
Subjectivity. The game show.
I have feelings about this, and they're different from yours.
But I do like Belle right away. I liked that she was a bookworm. I always was growing up, so I felt like I related to her very well.
Oh, absolutely.
And I liked that even though she was introverted, she was still very kind, and she was greeting everybody. Everyone was greeting her. She had her nose in the book, but she was waving hi to people. She was speaking with the bookseller. She wasn't just so painfully shy that she didn't know how to, act in social situations.
Right, exactly. So, no, she's clearly very socially capable, even though she would prefer to be sitting and reading, which, girl, I get you. Like, dang. It's actually really interesting that Belle was not my favorite Disney princess when I was growing up because, I mean, I'm like you. I was like ingesting books like they were air. And so it must have just been timing. It must have just been that, we had The Little Mermaid first, and that was the movie that was like on constant loop all the time, always. I don't really remember watching Beauty and the Beast a whole lot when I was younger.
Well, you're a little duckling sometimes. That
it's
you just
true.
Imprint on things.
Do,
so you had imprinted onto Little Mermaid.
I had.
Pretty hard.
It's so true.
I always felt that Belle was more mature and a little more out of my league than the other princesses. Like, I could imagine myself as the other princesses, but Belle was like a queen, and I was not going to be Queen Belle. Like, I can go flit around and dance with the mice with these other, Disney characters. Yeah. But Belle is like, she has elevated the role of princess a bit, or at least she did in my mind as a kid.
That's hilarious.
Because she was so self-contained and so composed. And she was very brave. Like, this situation with the Beast, I couldn't imagine myself in that situation and holding my own in the way that she did.
Oh, yeah, no.
So it just seemed further away from me, if that makes any sense at all.
I think it does. No, I completely hear what you're saying. And do you want to guess how old Belle is canonically? I know that we've mentioned this in all of our other ones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let me guess. I'm going to guess that canonically Belle is 18.
17.
Oh, that's pretty close, though.
Pretty close. Yeah.
I was actually going to say 19, but I knew for Disney I needed to lower it just a little bit. So she is older than the other girls that
she is the oldest of all the princesses that we have been shown so far, because Aurora is 16, Ariel is 16, Cinderella's 18, I think, maybe.
Okay, well, that's older then. Was Cinderella 18? Did we know?
Oh, wait, you're right. 18 is bigger than 17. Oh, apparently Cinderella was 19.
What?
What?
Mind blown.
That girl did not act 19. Shoot.
She had a sheltered life.
No, actually, no, she did act very 19, actually. I just remembered how great we found out that Cinderella was.
Cinderella's
it's hard.
Really
like,
don't forget.
Yeah, no, we go through, we watch these, then we do this, and we do the grading system or whatever, and then, like, I guess I need to, like, just check it as a reminder, because otherwise I'm going to be like, Cinderella, like, whatever, what did she do? And then I'm like, wait. She's
the reigning champion.
Yeah,
actually.
She's the champion in the moment. She beat Ariel by 1 point because of the Lily bonus point. So.
That's right. Thanks, Lily. That's why you're my daughter, girl.
So we get past that first scene, and we're introduced to everybody that we need to know. We're introduced to Gaston. We're introduced to LeFou. And I think Gaston's really funny. I mean, obviously he's a
fun character.
He's a misogynistic jerk and just the worst. Like, how can you read this? There's not even any pictures in here. It just blew my mind. I'm sitting here and I'm watching this, and I'm watching how desperately Gaston wants to date Belle, even though, like, she is, like... Because here's the thing, a lot of Disney females, particularly in Disney princess films, look exactly the same. You could get, like, the three triplets, you could give them brunette hair and they would look identical to Belle, right?
Oh,
I mean,
okay, yes,
they would look basically the same.
Uh-huh.
And so he's really just chasing after, like, a brunette girl instead of the three blonde triplets who are practically throwing themselves at his feet.
Yes,
and
quite.
I mean... Given the character of Gaston that we're aware of, it shocks. Like, why is he not going after that? He could have 3 wives for the price of 1, which I feel like is what he wants.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. It is what he wants. But again, he has a big problem with subjectivity. Like, Gaston is going to pick who is prettiest, and that alone, he's like, okay. You're the most beautiful, and and that makes her the best. And don't I deserve the best, right? But and it's very subjective. But I think that beauty is very subjective, and I actually kind of like that there are these 3
That's
obviously
totally
hot
fair.
chicks,
yeah.
But for whatever reason, sometimes there are people who come along, and you're just very attracted to them, and you just think this one outshines these others. And for Belle, it's interesting because, of course, for us, obviously her personality outshines those girls by a lot. It's not even a thing for Gaston, though. He just thinks that she's gorgeous for whatever reason. But whenever you see, like, I've seen little like surveys or stuff that they do where they go out and people are just rating people on a scale.
Yeah.
And I found this very interesting, that, like, people who are just generally pretty will get more like 8s or something, out of 10. And then there'll be someone who's very unique looking, and some people will mark them at like a 4, but they'll get more 10s.
Oh, that's so interesting.
You have to be a little bit unique and set apart for that kind of, like, astonishing beauty, but then it's not going to hit with everybody. Some people are going to be like, no, I don't get it. That's not my type.
So maybe it is the blue dress then.
Maybe it is the blue dress.
Gaston just likes the color blue.
But I always thought that was very interesting. So, and it does make sense, though, I think, because even if you think of, like, those actresses that have really captured our attention are not... and especially as you go all the way through history, like the Audrey Hepburns and the Grace Kellys and just these women who have really Marilyn Monroe, you cannot do that little wig swap that you were talking about. It was like, is that is that Audrey Hepburn or
Marilyn?
Exactly. You're not going to say that.
Yeah.
You're going to know.
So then Belle gets out of the village and she starts heading back to her house, to her dad. She's got no mom. This is once
and
again,
they really don't even address it.
They really don't. Like, not even
a lot of times they say, well, when your mother was here.
Well, you're still like your mom. Yeah, I mean, I guess her mom has been dead for a long, long time. Like, we're all over it at this point, I guess. In fact, the only Disney princess up to this point that we've seen who has a mom is Aurora. She's got both her parents. Everybody else is either straight up orphans, Snow White, Cinderella, or Ariel had her dad. But yeah, and I think that this is a trend that's going to continue actually for quite a while, because if looking into the future in Aladdin, Jasmine doesn't have a mom either.
I wonder if this isn't like when we have those hero's journey tales and like the hero has to go on alone.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's not like that a little bit for the princesses. Like, the princesses can't have their mom gently guiding them into the right decisions.
Taking care of them and being a mom.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But if they have someone who's guiding them into these decisions, if they've got, like our heroes will have their white wizard or whatever, but they really need to chart out this territory on their own. They have to find out who they are. They have to find out, how it is that they fall in love and who they love and how much they're going to let that have sway over them by themselves. So
that's really interesting. I hadn't really thought about it that way.
I mean, it's just a thought.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Again, subjectivity of the game show.
Right.
We're just saying stuff.
I don't have a degree in princesses.
I do. So I think that you're making really good points, and it's very interesting, and I will consider adding it to my thesis at the end of this program.
Excellent.
So we meet Maurice, the dotty old inventor, and
He's
okay,
adorable.
all right. All right, guys. Everybody who's listening to this, whenever I watch this movie, I cannot watch this movie without thinking about our high school a couple of years ago performed Beauty and the Beast, like the drama program from our high school, which just very briefly, they're like a big deal. And I'm not like just saying that. They've like won awards every year for the last like 10 years. They're an
Forget
excellent...
what you think you know about high school drama departments, because this is not that.
It's not that. I mean, some of the most amazing performances I've ever seen have come out of the high school drama program that you and I, Liz, were both a part of.
Yes.
Well, they did Beauty and the Beast a couple of years ago, and they opened it up to where it's like a community theater thing, so they're able to bring in like even adults and like students, like elementary students can come in and like be a part of like the chorus and all this stuff.
It's adorable.
Well, our very dear friend Alan Beck was in the show. He played LeFou, and his dad, Mr. Gregory Beck, played Maurice,
and he was adorable.
He was perfect.
He was so good. It like brought tears to my eyes. He was so good.
Preposterous.
Because there's an extra little song in the Broadway show that Belle and her father do together.
Yes.
And it was so adorable. It was really, really cute.
Yeah, Alan's dad is one of just the cutest little old men and he's always in these shows. He was in Oklahoma. He was in The Wizard of Oz. He was the Wizard of Oz in The Wizard of Oz. And so I'm watching this movie, and the whole time I just felt my heart like growing and growing, and my endearment for this movie growing, because I was like, oh, it reminds me of Alan and his dad. And it was just so good.
Yep. And Alan was great too, of course.
Oh yeah, Alan was
preposterous.
He's a ridiculously good actor. It's a little infuriating, actually. But yeah, so we meet Maurice, we see dotty old Maurice and all of this, and so they have their conversation, and so he is going to take his invention to the fair someplace in Paris, maybe, who knows. And straps Philippe the horse to his cart and then heads off, and they get to the part in the forest where you got super dark scary pathway and the super cool chill pathway.
Yep.
Philippe the horse is like, nah, dude, we gotta go this way.
We go super chill.
This is super chill. This is safe. This is where we need to go. And that was when I realized horses in every Disney movie are always going to be smarter than the protagonist. Max in Tangled knew what was going on. He knew what was up. Sven, who is technically a reindeer, knew like what needed to be done and all of this, you know, him getting his antlers tangled up in icicles besides.
Notwithstanding.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts, so I don't care. It won't take it away. But yeah, so I chuckled a little bit because it was just really funny to me, the storytelling elements that really are sprinkled throughout all of these movies. So then Maurice gets to the castle, and that's when we see Lumiere and Cogsworth, and we're seeing all this stuff, and we see the Beast.
We see the Enchanted Castle for the first time.
It's my very first time being in an enchanted castle. And I was like, that's cute. I like
said
that.
Anything about the castle being enchanted.
And then we see the Beast for the first time. And I've got to say, like, I haven't watched this movie in a long time. And rewatching it and looking at his design and the way that he's drawn and his movements and all of that, it really is a masterpiece.
It is.
There is nothing like the Beast. And he's
just very scary.
Yes.
I was watching it with my son. He was sick yesterday. He had a fever of 103. So we were snuggled up watching this movie together. And he's loving that we're doing Disney Princess Deathmatch. He tells me every day, watch Princess?
That makes me so happy.
So that's our new thing that we do. But when the Beast came on, he's getting a little more nervous now and scared of things. So he did his little I'm scared thing and covered his eyes. And I told him, I said, no, this is the Beast, and he's a good guy. He's just mean right now, and Belle has to teach him how to be nice. And so to see him kind of like trying to give it the benefit of the doubt, but also like, no, this dude is really scary, and he's yelling a lot, Mom.
This guy's like 10 feet tall, and he's got like horns and like a snout and tusks. And are you sure, Mom? Are you sure? And this is actually something really interesting as you spend watching the movie and going through, and you see as our characters are kind of exploring the castle, and there's like all those different statues of weird looking monsters and stuff.
Yes.
Those are all earlier designs of the Beast.
Oh, that's very interesting, because I always did like it there at the end where Gaston is like up on the roof and he's got the thing. He's got like the big stick or club or whatever. Whatever he's got in his hand.
Piece of ceiling.
Yeah, and there's all the gargoyles around. I always just thought that was really cool, and it stuck with me.
Right.
So, but that makes a lot of sense. And that's cool that they were able to reuse and like recycle those things, those ideas.
Yeah, that they didn't just have to toss them out. They were able to use it. So the Beast shows up and he throws Maurice into the prison cell.
Yes.
And then Philippe runs back home and Belle gets to sing the reprise of her song, which I love so much whenever she runs out into the field and she's got like the dandelion and all of that stuff. Yeah, it's such a beautiful sequence.
Little bridge. I want adventure.
Yes.
Oh, it's so good. You're right. Yep.
It's really, really great. Really wonderful. Philippe shows up and we skipped over the part. Gaston drives by the house and he's like trying to marry her.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, you're all invited to the wedding. Now I just got to go propose to her. And I was like,
he's the
you
worst.
Giant lughead. Like, you are just
awful.
You have no idea about anything.
My little wife massaging my feet. She's just like, oh, you're so gross.
And the kids playing on the floor with the dogs. We'll have 7 or 8 of them. Dogs? No. Strapping young lads like me. Oh, Jiminy Christmas.
He's the worst.
He's pretty
just
terrible.
The worst suitor ever.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
And again, she deals with him incredibly gracefully.
She really does.
All of our princesses do that. I love that even when they're standing up for themselves, they can do that without being mean-spirited.
Yeah.
And like they don't feel like they have to put someone else down to elevate themselves. They just gracefully exit the situation. And well done, Belle. Well done.
Yeah. And so then she gets her reprise of the song. Philippe the horse shows up and then they run out into the woods and she gets to the castle and finds Maurice and sees the Beast, and then she straight up sacrifices her freedom and her everything to be able to save her father.
Yes.
Which, you're absolutely right. It's totally crazy. Robbie and I were talking about this a little bit right before you guys got over here for us to record, and he just mentioned, how interesting it was that this is the first time we've seen a Disney princess like sacrifice so much for somebody else. Like, we saw Ariel sacrifice, her voice and her life and her family to get what she wanted, but never before, not before this point, have we seen someone be like, no, take me instead and save them. And that just really speaks to Belle's character. Like, she's just a good person.
She is very selfless.
She really loves her dad. I did agree with her dad, though, whenever he gets out of the cell and he's like, I've lived my life. Everything's fine. Yeah, it's like, sweetheart, no. You go ahead and go on.
And
it's
now the rest of my
fine.
days will be lived in anguish and agony.
Because my daughter is gone and I can't see. Yeah,
and it's my fault. And
it's a rough call, but I also get it. Like, I absolutely would have done the exact same thing. I mean, and when you don't have a mom, when you're a Disney girl and all you got is your dad and you don't have friends because you're a weirdo who loves books, then you do whatever you can to protect that man.
It was very brave. It definitely was. And I do like that we can really say that it was brave and not just that it was, headstrong, because as she is led through the castle, and when she first sees the Beast, you can see that she is legitimately terrified.
Very, very scared
of him. Yeah. And she does not think that her life there is going to be worth anything. She thinks she can be in that same cell, of course. And then our lovely little candle friend comes to the rescue.
Lumiere.
Like, maybe you should give her a room.
If she's going to be living here forever. Right.
Thanks, Lumiere.
Good job, French dude.
Yeah. And then we have that weird little glitch. Do you remember in all of the early ones growing up where it says, you want to stay in the tower? Did yours do that? You know what I'm talking about?
I'm trying to remember.
I feel like they didn't fix that until we got
always
like
just assumed he was stumbling over his words.
Maybe he was. I always thought that it was a little glitch or something because they fixed it in the 25th anniversary. He doesn't do that anymore.
Oh, I have no idea.
You remember it too then. You wanna, right?
No, I don't remember that actually. And I have no idea. I'm trying to think today.
VHS.
Right.
So it's not like I had like this weird bootleg copy or something.
Well, we didn't, no, we did have bootlegs of VHSs back then, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't record it
like a couple of
Fox
recorders.
I don't know. Yeah.
Recorders?
Anyway.
VCRs.
Right.
What?
Yeah, video cassette
recorder. Okay, I got it. I'm only a little better at technology than you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he is not a very nice beast initially.
No. Now, I have seen, and I assume that you have too, because you are all over the internet more than I am.
I love the internet.
But you've seen this thing where it does the actual timeline, and we find out...
I haven't actually seen the timeline.
Okay, well, I have heard that if you follow how much time has passed, if we're waiting for his 21st year... and it's been almost 10 years or something. That he's like,
oh, I know exactly what you're talking about, actually. And I do have, okay, you go ahead. And
so he's like 11 or something when the enchantress comes to the door and he turns her away. So it's a pretty extreme punishment for someone who's barely an adolescent.
And it's also not true because the Enchantress doesn't actually say 21st birthday. The Enchantress says 21st year. And we know that Chip is a little boy. I mean, like, if they have been this way for 10 years, there's no way that, like, Chip was, like, an infant and aged 10 years.
Oh, so they're all just like frozen in time?
Yeah, I believe that it makes more sense that the Enchantress came and just decided because he was this brash, rude young prince, punished him and said, you're going to have to live like this for 21 years. And if you can't get your crap sorted out in 21 years, then you have to stay this way forever.
Interesting.
And so it makes a little more sense that all of these people have like been frozen linearly. Like nobody is aging in the 10 years they've been there.
Sense. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise you're exactly right. Like,
but then the rose petal, what about the rose then? Before the rose wilts?
On the 21st year. It says nothing about birthday.
Okay, but then they've been there 21 years and not 10 years.
Well, shoot.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. Something mathematically is awry, but you know what? It's a fairy tale. So we're just going to have to let it roll.
I mean, they fell in love in like days. So or possibly months. I don't know. It depends. Okay, the version you watched today, did yours have the human again sequence in it?
Yes.
Mine did too, which shocked me because I haven't watched this movie since I was a child.
Oh.
And I had only ever seen the Human Again sequence in the Broadway version. And so this started, and of course the animation is completely different because they added this in 2002.
They added it, yeah. And I thought at first that it was something that they had saved from the cutting room floor and inserted back in, but they added it completely.
Yeah, and you can absolutely tell because the animation is completely different. The coloring is different, all of it. And so that actually really pulled me out of the experience. Like it was detrimental for my entertainment purposes personally. First of all, because I don't think the song's that great.
It's fine, but it's not necessary.
Yeah,
I
wish totally
that you had the option a little better, but Disney's bad about that. And are they still doing the vault thing where it goes in the vault?
It's in the vault right now. Beauty and the Beast is in the vault right now, and you can't get it unless you already own it.
I don't particularly like that. I don't like the way they do the vault.
Yeah.
And I don't like it reminds me of George Lucas, and I guess now, that's Disney too with Star Wars, but it's how like you can't go back.
You can't have this.
Yeah,
I'm going to change it, and it's not yours anymore.
You get Hayden Christensen all the time now. He's just in the end now.
It's just you know what? The original three, we replaced Mark Hamill with Hayden Christensen. Like it's Hayden Christensen's all the way down. Rey has been replaced with Hayden Christensen.
Anyway, all that to say,
my original point in asking that question was that it seems that the only thing that I feel like the Human Again sequence adds is time going by, because when Belle gets there, it's winter and there's definitely tons of snow, but it wasn't that snowy. It's very confusing because when we open up, it looks like a spring day.
It's
right
true.
At the very beginning,
and it could be. It'll have to be late summer because she's blowing the dandelion.
Right.
So I'll give it even September.
Okay. Yeah. We'll say, we'll be generous and say September. I don't know how seasons work in France. Do you?
Yeah.
You do? Well, I mean, I know how seasons work, but I mean, like, when does it start snowing in France?
Okay.
Excuse you.
Sorry, I was amused by that.
I just meant, forget it.
Okay.
Anyway.
No, it's okay. Yeah. And it is hard because if this is, like, she says provincial, so Provence is actually near the ocean. So it's usually...
Wait, there's a place called Provence?
Yes. Provence is a region in France.
Oh.
Yeah.
By the ocean?
By the ocean, yes.
Do places near oceans get snow faster?
Well, no.
Oh.
Usually, I think this particular region is more temperate because lavender grows there.
Then this makes absolutely zero
sense. Lavender...
requires a temperate climate?
Yes, at least a little bit more temperate. It can't be super hard freezes. So
okay, interesting.
But maybe she went up more,
I guess, but the castle can't be
north to the castle.
But the castle cannot be that far because Gaston and the mob got there. I mean, like, they did not pack any provisions or anything. And I mean, I'm willing to let a lot of things slide. Okay, we are watching a movie about an enchanted castle, and all these people got turned into talking things. And Lumiere's bottom lip is actually his candle holder, and that always bothers me, and I hate it. But anyway, it has to be like a few hours away walking, and you can get there in the horse like in maybe 30, 45 minutes. Like, okay. I don't know. But so we'll say September, and then it's snowing when she gets there. And then by the end of the movie, there's another snowfall, but then now it's raining and all of the snow is gone. And during the Humans Again sequence, they're actually like planting all the flowers and they're out in the garden and everything's like bright and spring-like. And so I was like, oh, all this time has passed and it's springtime now, but then the snow came back. And I was like, I don't know what is even happening. This has made it worse because I don't understand.
I didn't notice that, but now that you're pointing it out.
It's a problem. It is a serious problem.
But maybe... Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I like the snow scene. I like their little snowball fight.
And it's totally great.
I love her hood. Can we bring back hoods and capes, people?
Yes.
Because I really want hoods and capes to come back. We did it. It's done.
It's done now. The world is now. But yeah, so the Human Again sequence, I don't particularly like the song, and also it causes more problems than it solves.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so the timeline of this movie is totally screwy, and you just have to roll with it. Is basically what we're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Rolling with it, and we're going on. Moving on. So we get to see their relationship starting to build and starting to bud. And what I really like is that the Beast is, yes, he's very mean and scary at first, but like it seems like he legitimately wants to try. He just can't get his temper under control.
Yes,
which is kind of cool a little bit. And I know that the joke is like, oh, well, Belle succumbed to Stockholm Syndrome and fell in love with her kidnapper and whatever. And I was fully intending to make that joke and say that was the reason why their relationship happened at all. But watching it and seeing, and again, timeline is screwy, but if she was there for months and months, all the way through spring, and then also it snowed again, and I don't really, anyway, who knows? Then I feel like that, I mean, that's certainly the longest amount of time we've given any of our girls to fall in love with her prince, which is super cool. It's like an actual relationship that is developing, which I think is really nice.
You're right. And it definitely is a relationship. And you see that they teach each other. I love the fight that they have.
Oh my gosh,
it's so good. This is the first time we've seen the romantic interests fight. Yes. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
And I wish I could remember all the dialogue there, but
it's just like, you're hurting me. Well, if you would stop moving around, it wouldn't hurt so much. Well, if you hadn't gone into the woods, I wouldn't have gotten hurt. Well, if you hadn't scared me, I wouldn't have run off. And just back. And she does not back down.
She doesn't.
Like Belle is not a wilting violet, shrinking violet. No, this
and
girl.
And then she says, well, you need to learn to control your temper.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, got me there.
Yeah.
Everyone's been saying that for years.
You know what?
Enchantress turned me into a beast because of it. Yeah. Maybe I should get that under control.
Okay. So we see their relationship starting to grow. We see that they're actually starting to like get along, and with the snowball fight and the hood and her cape and everything.
I love that song. There's something there that wasn't there before.
It's really quite good.
It's really adorable.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
Yeah.
And whenever the Beast gives her that library, oh my gosh.
Wonderful, wonderful piece of filmmaking right there.
It's first of all, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's totally wonderful that he was able to do that for her, like that he chose to do that for her and just gave it all to her, and knowing how much it meant to her. Also, all of Belle's outfits are great. We're gonna get there. I don't want to I don't want to sidetrack yet, but like her outfits are like spot on throughout this entire film.
Well, she's got that awesome wardrobe dressing her every day.
That's true. Yeah, which is pretty great. It's weird that they have clothes that fit her perfectly, but we don't really have to worry about that, I guess. But I think that I read somewhere on the internet that if I don't remember like what, year, quote unquote, this story is supposed to take place in.
Yeah.
But because of how high that library is and the number of books, there are more books in that library than existed on the planet in that time. Enchanted library turned like just a ton of servants into books. That's my headcanon.
I like it.
But yeah, the library sequence is absolutely. The one thing I did really enjoy about the Humans Again sequence is whenever we learn that the Beast can't read very well. And Belle is like, oh, well, then I'll teach you, and just sits down with him and starts going through it again and is like teaching him to read. I thought that was really sweet and really precious. And I really enjoyed that. And that's like at the very tail end of the Humans Again sequence, or like right near the middle.
That in our original version then? I feel like I remember
it's in the Broadway version, which is why I remembered it, because I remember it happening in the Broadway show, and I was like, oh, that's weird.
No, you're right, because that's when they're reading Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's definitely in the second go-round, the 25th edition or the Broadway. Okay, all right, that's true. It is very sweet.
Yeah, so I did like that part a lot. And then we cut out of the Humans Again sequence, and we get to the Beast getting his bath and getting ready
I always loved that part as a kid.
Yeah.
you look so
stupid.
It's just the best.
It's so good. And then I'll tell you what, that Beast, like, he pretties up real nice.
Yeah.
Actually.
He cleaned up very well. It's true.
He looks real good.
And Belle's dress. I know we're going to get to it.
My gosh.
But just this, this scene in general
is the most iconic Disney scene ever, right?
I think just about. I think it really is. And it is gorgeous. It is beautifully
so
done.
good. The background is all CGI. It's all
Which is
computers.
The first time they did that.
Yes.
Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it is. We talked about when we did Little Mermaid. That was the last one where everything was all hand done.
That's right.
And so this was the first time that they had the CGI backgrounds going on. We'll also see that in Aladdin, particularly in the Cave of Wonders. We're going to see a lot of that going on. But this sequence is ridiculously beautiful.
It's really gorgeous.
It's insanely gorgeous.
And it hasn't
insanely
lost
wonderful.
anything over time.
No, not at all. And then you've got Tale as Old as Time going on, which I learned this. Angela Lansbury originally didn't feel like Mrs. Potts should sing that song. Like, she thought that some other character probably could do, like, better justice with it or whatever.
Interesting.
And the directors were like, well, go ahead and just do one take, just so we can see. And then they ended up using the one take in the film.
Oh, my gosh, Angela Lansbury.
Yeah.
Wow.
A little bit
amazing.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that was really great. And then that dress is, when I think of Disney princesses, I think the very first thing I think of immediately is Belle's yellow dress in that ballroom scene. It's preposterous. Not to show our hand, but she's getting the highest score possible for clothes. Like, when we get there, girl is getting a 5 because dang, that dress.
Yeah, it's so true. Wow.
And so then they get to the West Wing, and Belle asks if she can see her father. And we see that Maurice has been spending, again, an inordinate amount of time, like, just traipsing through the woods looking for his daughter, which is really sad. And also, how long has he been out there? I don't know. How is this 3 days later? Is this several months later? There's no telling.
It's been a while.
It's been quite some time. So the Beast allows her to be able to go and rescue her father because he loves her and he has to let her go. And it was all of our princes up to this point have basically been cardboard cutouts, right? Like, the most active ones we saw were Philip, which we then said he still didn't really do anything.
No,
it was the fairies doing everything. And then Eric, but even Eric, and Eric, he did pretty well. He was fine.
Eric did do pretty well.
But, as far as, like, the relational stuff, like, these guys are just like, you're my girl now. I own you and you're mine and you can't leave. And I just have you. I own a girl. But the Beast very much was like, no, I love her and I can't keep her here against her will anymore. I free you. You're no longer my prisoner. And I feel like she hadn't been his prisoner for quite some time.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. That is very true.
Once you give a girl a library, I think that is, like, voluntary servitude at that point. Oh, you want to give me a library? Done. I'll stay here with you forever. That's cool. Because we all have the internet now, so I guess maybe it's not.
Good point.
Yeah. So she goes and she finds her dad, and then we get all of that stuff where Gaston is the worst human being on the face of the planet.
Trying to lock up her dad in an insane asylum.
Unless he marries her.
Oh.
Yeah. Which, it was funny because I had completely forgotten about that story element. And so I was like, okay, well, Gaston's a jerk. But he's not that bad.
No,
and then we got to that, and I was like, oh, no. He absolutely
is
that bad.
Evil and wrong.
That is, of all of the, like, evil magic fairies we've seen and wicked stepmothers and evil queens, like, this is the most evil thing we've seen, is using your love for your father against you to force you into a completely different kind of servitude, because that marriage absolutely would be one of servitude and not a partnership and love. That would be a loveless marriage.
Yes. Ugh. Yeah. Sorry.
Liz just visibly shuddered at the thought. And so then we get, I got chills actually during the mob song. Like,
the mob song's very good.
I really enjoy the mob song.
Yeah, it's a little bit, it even sounds like a little bit trite and cliche. Sometimes it reminds me a little bit of the Pocahontas song, where they're like savages.
Oh, yeah,
sometimes it's a little bit, they paint it on just a little bit thick. It's a little too on the nose. But especially because it's a kids movie, to help you understand with what happens with mob mentality, they really did spell it out for you, and they really did, chilling.
And it's scary and chilling. It's scary to watch. It's unnerving to watch. And then when you're cutting back, you cut back to the palace, and you see Mrs. Potts, like, running up to the Beast and saying, "The castle's under attack. What do we do? What do we do?" And he was just like, "It doesn't matter.
Just let them come.
Just let them come." Because he's so heartbroken.
Yeah, and you know what's fascinating is that, like, of all of these princes and stuff, like, the Beast is, he's a beast, right? How much more masculine can you get? Yeah. But he's very much a beta when it comes to, like, that kind of, like, to your alpha heroes or beta heroes or whatever. He's very, he kind of accepts things as they are happening, and he is very reactionary. Yes. So that is very interesting.
That really is. I hadn't really thought of that, but you're absolutely right. And so then we get the entire sequence where all the villagers are attacking the castle and all the enchanted objects are coming to life.
Which is also really fun. I
It's
enjoyed
a lot
that
of
when
fun.
I was a kid. Yeah. And it's good that they made it fun because it was quite chilling and horrifying before. You're like, oh, they're storming the castle. They're going to kill the beast.
Well, and when you see some of these things, like you see the guy who has the torch who's trying to like melt Lumiere, and it's like he's made out of wax and he's like melting. And I was like, that's absolutely horrifying. Yeah. Then you see the guy who has the maid feather duster who's like ripping her feathers out and all this. And I was like, that is not okay. I'm glad that we cut from that as quickly as we did because, oh, dang.
Very suggestive.
That is extremely problematic and really, really unsettling and very, it made me sick. I didn't like it, and I was glad that we cut away from it when we did. And then we see Gaston prowling through the castle, searching for the beast. And I know that he says he's like this excellent hunter or whatever, but I feel like he's too clunky to actually be a good hunter. I don't know anything about hunting. I've never been hunting. Have you been hunting?
Yeah. Wait, let me think harder before I answer that. No, I have not been hunting. No. Okay.
No. Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. So Gaston is like prowling through the castle looking for the beast, and he finally gets to where the beast is at, and just the beast has no reaction, like zero reaction, like just doesn't. It's so despondent.
And it is, and that was problematic for me always as a kid, actually, and just to see how broken that he is.
Right. And it's hard to see, but then when you think about like the beast doesn't think that Belle loves him despite this time that they've had together and seeing how she's like warmed up to him.
It's true. He really does think
he
everything
really
is over.
believes that she's gone. Yeah. He believes that she's gone forever because we see that whenever she comes back and he says, I can't believe you came back. I can't believe you came back. And so he absolutely thinks I'm going to be like this forever. I'm never going to be able to save my palace, my kingdom, my people.
Yeah.
And the one person who could have, I've pushed away, and she's never going to come back because of everything that I did and all this. So
he's down in the dumps.
He's a real sad guy at that point. And Chip went and rescued Belle and Maurice at some point in a completely preposterous sequence of events, whatever.
Which was adorable.
It was, it was sweet, whatever, don't care. You guys gotta try this. Yeah, okay. You're a little teacup. All right. And so we get to, it's no longer snowing anymore. It hasn't been snowing for a while, but now it's raining everywhere, which I thought that effect was really cool looking. They're up on the roof. Gaston is prowling after the beast. The beast is, whenever he's like hiding as one of the gargoyles and the camera like pans and then he turns and it's him. That always scared me when I was a little girl. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, it's true. All of a sudden when he does, I've been saying all this time that I wanted him to fight back. And then when he starts to, it is pretty horrifying. So maybe it's good that he was reining that in actually.
Yeah, because again, this is like a 10-foot tall wolf, boar, buffalo monster.
Yeah, just
like,
giant.
Just horrifyingly scary. And Gaston has like a lot of chutzpah to go ahead and like keep going after this guy. I'd have taken one look at him and been like, you know what? You keep your castle. I got Belle in a basement back home. It's probably fine. You're clearly not going anywhere, I guess.
Right, yeah.
You haven't bothered the village in the last 10 years. Like, we didn't even know this was a thing.
Right.
So maybe the castle was kind of far away. I feel like if it was only a few hours, then somebody must have known.
Right?
Hey, didn't we have a prince at one point? Weren't we being oppressed by an oppressive ruler?
I feel like we're a fiefdom.
I didn't vote for him. I don't know. So many unanswered questions. And then Belle and Maurice show back up, and Belle calls out to the beast, and he sees her, and he's suddenly so happy, and he's so glad. I can't believe you came back.
Very sweet. You came back.
Yeah, it's really, really great. And then Gaston straight up stabs the guy in his side, and just
the worst.
Just the worst.
Yeah,
Gaston's the worst, and then slips and falls to his death as he deserved to do.
Well, first, remember that when the beast is holding him by the neck
that's
over
right.
the don't hurt me, please. Yeah, that was good and shocking when I was a kid for sure. Because you're not sure what the beast is going to do at this point.
I would have dropped him.
Temper issues. Obviously, the guy deserves it. Deserves is strong, but
he's a Disney villain.
Yeah,
he deserves it.
He's a villain, right? Yeah. But it was nice. I preferred that he slipped and fell. And
and I totally agree. And that again, it just shows like this movie is really excellent because we see the growth that our characters have gone through. We haven't seen very much growth from our princesses up to this point. Like it's just been a series of events happened, and then she married a prince, and it was happily ever after.
Yeah,
like, whatever.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But to actually see like some real character development in these. and I think that we had a little bit in The Little Mermaid, not quite as much. I don't think that Ariel really changed that much from beginning to the end of the film. Emotionally, clearly, she got legs at one point and then turned back into a fish. She had to, puberty was really hard for Ariel. But to see like actual character development and character growth in the Beast and also in Belle and just how their relationships change and all this. So Gaston stabs him. He falls off the thing. Belle is weeping over the Beast's body and is like, don't leave me. Please don't leave me. Everything's going to be fine. Don't talk like that. And then he dies. And then she says, I love you. And then the singular petal falls.
It's a beautiful little piece.
It really is great.
Of filmmaking.
It's amazing. And when Alan and his dad were in Beauty and the Beast, they had that prop. They had that rose prop. And it was so cool because what they did is they had petals like connected to like fishing wire. So you're out in the audience and you can't see it. But it would mechanically, like whenever they needed to, you would see this glowing petal fall. And that like was blowing my mind. Because I'm like, wait, I've been a part of this program. I know that we're capable of a lot. We are not capable of this. How did they do that? They have a wizard backstage. I don't understand. So we got to go on a tour and see all the stuff. And it was really great.
This entire sequence was so magical.
It was insane. It was crazy because they had the actor who was playing the Beast. They had him like strapped up in a harness, and he like was actually raised up. And I think that it had to have been a body double actually, because then they like swapped or whatever. It was crazy.
Yeah, but
there's
was crazy.
lights going. He's like hovering above the stage. Yeah. It was like the first time I ever saw Elphaba flying in Wicked, and I was like, how are they doing this? How is this even happening? I don't understand.
It was amazing. Yeah.
It was crazy. So the fireworks show goes off. All these lights are spinning around. And, I kept thinking this throughout the entire film, and I don't really have a good point to say it, so I'll just say it now. I feel like Belle's hair looks way better when it's down. I like her hair better down, personally.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's nice no matter what she does.
She's got great hair.
Yeah. And I love the way it's the half up, half down in the ball.
Yes.
In the
it looks
really beautiful.
I guess what I'm saying is my least favorite is just the little ponytail with the bow. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, girl, you gotta, I mean, like, come on. Anyway. But then the Beast turns into the prince, and they do not say his name in the film, but canonically it is Prince Adam is his name. And he sees Belle, and he's like, it's really me. And she's like, is it you? And I'm like, girl, you just watched him transform into this dude. Like, you were 2 feet away. Like, you did not turn your eyes away at any point.
Yep.
Yes, it's him. But then she looks into his eyes, and they're blue, and she strokes his hair, and it is you. And then they kiss, and then everybody lives happily ever after. And it's totally awesome.
The music there is amazing.
So good.
I love the fireworks and stuff. I've never been a huge fan of all the light shooting out of him. You know what, though? It reminds me a lot of It's a Wonderful Life. When he tells her that he'll lasso her the moon, and it's like, and then you can swallow it, see, and the moonbeams will come out of your fingertips and your, it's like, the tips of your hair. Like, oh yeah, like the Beast.
Yeah, that's what happened. He swallowed moonbeams and turned into a prince.
Corbin really liked that part too. He's like, what's happening?
And so,
and then we see Mrs. Potts and Chip, and we think, this was a late in life baby. Maybe
this
he was a surprise.
A very late in life baby. Where is Mr. Potts?
Who knows?
Who knows?
I ship Mrs. Potts and Maurice.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes. No, I absolutely do.
Together at the end.
Yep.
Like, oh,
I want Chip to be Belle's stepbrother.
There you go. Yep. Totally
absolutely.
Adorable. I like it.
I don't know where his brothers and sisters are. Whenever he was a teacup, he had to sleep in the cabinet with all of his brothers and sisters, but none of them are
the favorite.
Clearly, like absolutely, because there's not a single other child in that palace at the end of this movie. Huh. What happened to the rest of the Potts children?
Still in the cupboard, I guess.
I guess. Oh, no! They just transformed back in the cupboard. Those kids are hurt now. All their bones are broken. That cabinet is shattered. I bet it was like a family heirloom. Oh dear. This is like when we found out that Lucifer the cat absolutely is dead.
Yes.
Like, yes. Bad things happened. And yeah, so that is Beauty and the Beast, and we get the beautiful music there at the end, and we see her again in that just
and they
do
the
awesome
dancing.
gown.
Did they just recycle the footage from?
I wasn't paying enough attention. I wish I had, but I don't know.
From Sleeping Beauty, because it was so much like Sleeping Beauty.
You're right.
There at the end, there when they were doing
like spiraling.
Yeah, they're waltzing and they're going in circles.
We'll have to double check and see. I wouldn't be surprised.
They reused a little bit of that animation, or at least use it for reference, but maybe not. Maybe it was just supposed to be a throwback. But it definitely harkened back to
I don't know. And then this is the first Disney princess movie where the ending credit song is a pop version of one of the songs.
Which is the worst thing. They wouldn't do that.
Bad.
I hate it. They're always terrible. Yeah.
They're not good.
No. And then you have to hear them on Delilah for 40 years later. What is happening?
It's probably a good thing we're not doing The Lion King and we don't have to talk about all the Elton John songs we had to deal with for our entire lives.
I actually don't mind those ones as much.
Yeah, they're pretty good. But yeah, Demi Lovato, Idina Menzel, you are not. Please stop singing Let It Go. Why are you changing the words? I don't understand. We'll get there.
Not her fault. She just got the gig.
Yeah, she just got paid to do it. So I totally understand that. So I guess now is the time where we get to our favorite part of Disney Princess Deathmatch, the Deathmatch portion.
That's right, where we rate the fictional people. We would not rate real people.
No.
Just so you know.
Never. That's why we're not doing real movies. I mean... real life movies.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or also just being like, so what do you think of Jodie Benson? Like, Paige O'Hara, how do you feel about that? No, we're not doing that thing. So the 6 categories that we are grading these princesses on is autonomy, attitude, animal companion, which in this movie I think technically needs to be just the enchanted castle things. Well,
I think so.
Attire, arias, and zombie apocalypse survival abilities.
Excellent.
Awesome. So let's start with autonomy. Do you feel like Belle was pretty autonomous?
Belle was very autonomous, and she was autonomous without being that really reckless sort of headstrong and not thinking about others. You know, like remember Ariel was...
Yeah, Ariel was autonomous, but was strictly thinking about Ariel. No, absolutely.
And I even could say that her decision was reckless to stay in the castle, but she was absolutely thinking of others and being selfless. But yeah, I put her autonomy at a 5.
Yeah, and her choice to go back to the castle after she's, to save the beast and take care of him and all this. So yeah, she's definitely, Belle is absolutely pushing the story forward.
Yes,
with the choices that she's making. I'm perfectly comfortable with a 5 in that. Okay, next, her attituute. She's pretty great, right?
Her attitude is fantastic.
She's really sweet.
She's really
she
great.
stands up for herself. She's brave. She's not at any point is she snarky or mean. I mean, she's a little bit sarcastic towards Gaston, and he just totally misses it. But I mean, who among us would not be?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, the one time that I really am just like, oh, Belle, what are you doing? Is when she sneaks away to go see the West Wing.
Yes.
And she totally...
Yeah, whenever in Cogsworth and Lumiere.
Yeah. But again, so curiosity. I mean, she can't be perfect. That's what makes her so great.
Right.
She's not just perfect. So
but
attitude.
Otherwise, I mean, it's pretty good. Oh gosh. Is this going to be 5s all the way down?
I don't worried for my girl Cinderella, but it was bound to happen.
It was and we haven't even gotten to Rapunzel yet.
I know, and also great. Okay, I'm willing to give Belle a 5 for her attitude. She's really, really excellent.
I do think she's really sweet, and she's really smart, and she loves books, and she's being played by Emma Watson, and in the upcoming live adaptation.
Yep.
I don't want that to sway my decision, but it does because I love Emma Watson. No, I'm totally comfortable with her getting a 5 in attitude because she's so far has been. I mean, like if my daughters were to emulate Belle,
that's what I was just thinking.
I wouldn't be upset.
Absolutely, yep. She's a queen.
At no point did I go, "You're 16 years old. You are a child anymore. Stop it."
Yes.
Okay, animal companions, which in this case is going to be mostly, I guess, Lumiere and Cogsworth.
Yeah.
Or Philippe the horse.
Probably not Philippe.
Probably not Philippe.
No. But I do think, the Enchanted Castle friends, also Mrs. Potts.
Yeah. So that's hard because there's like a lot of them, and they all are like
a little different.
Yeah. So I guess like just kind of as a whole. Well, because here's the thing: if we stick to our guns and say that no, it needs to be the animal companion, and we say Philippe the horse, like I'm comfortable with that because he didn't just immediately disappear. The hard thing with doing like the enchanted castle, like just the entirety of like all of these enchanted creatures in the castle as companions, it's like, well, they all were acting as like smaller protagonists as well. And they were, I mean, they all...
That is true.
They were all like intelligent, sentient beings who are like really particularly helpful.
They had their own agenda. Yeah.
But they become people at the end. And we have to grade these things by the end of the film.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either Philippe or nothing.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay. All right. So Philippe. All right. Rating Philippe.
He was a pretty good horse.
He's fine as a horse. Yeah. But
not as good as Max Entangled.
Not particularly interesting.
3?
3. I have to give him a 2 because he totally ran away and left Maurice just to be eaten by wolves.
You know what? That's totally fair. If I was a horse, I also would probably have done that.
Still,
okay,
not so great as an animal
2
companion.
for Philippe the horse because he's the only animal remaining at the end of the movie.
That's true. Okay.
Next, attire 5, right? Like she gets a 5.
Yeah.
We don't even need to continue.
Sure. So good.
Her dresses are the best out of every. I mean, is there any other dress that a Disney princess wears that you like more than Belle's ballroom dress?
I do like Cinderella's ballroom dress more.
I love you, but you're wrong.
Well, and that's totally fair, and it's entirely subjective because A, Cinderella is my favorite, and B, I can't wear yellow. So I'm going to be Cinderella. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So that's how this is going.
I told you it was subjective. All right.
Okay, and arias. So the songs that Belle sings, we have Belle at the beginning, which isn't totally her, but is a lot of her.
Yes.
We get the Belle reprise. We get something there that wasn't there before, and then that's it, right? There's not really, I mean, the singing after that is mostly Gaston and the mob, and Mrs. Potts sings a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well,
I really enjoy, I mean, like I said, I think I said it earlier, like this is my favorite opening Disney song out of all of them, the one in Beauty and the Beast, the Belle song, because I love it so much. It's really a lot of fun. It's not the song that got the award for this movie. It's not the best song in the entire movie even. There are other songs that are better. And I know that you enjoyed something there that wasn't there before. I like the sequence. I don't like the song quite as much. It's fine. It doesn't really do a whole lot for me.
Well, I think that although I like her voice very much and I like these songs, but it's true that these songs don't stand on their own very well.
They really don't. The reprise is really great because you get like that swooping and just like the everything's building and like she wants adventure in the Great White Summer. Like, girl, I hear you.
It's
like,
beautiful.
yeah, absolutely. But it's very overshadowed by a lot of what I mean, like,
and it's not a
Beauty
full
and the
song.
Beast is
you
an
can't
amazing
just, like, go
song.
sing that song karaoke or something.
Exactly, right.
3?
That sounds fair. Yeah, her voice is great. She's got a great voice, great singing voice. But
also, I've been saying reprise my whole life. I don't know which one of us is right. Maybe we're both right. But just
is
so
this
you
like
know.
Deus and Dias?
Deus and Deuce was what it was.
No. That was something I'm talking about, like a thing
like
at the bottom of a stage that you stand on. Are you standing on a dais or are you standing on a dais?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Well,
is it a reprise or a reprise?
Someone will tell us.
Okie dokie. Thanks. So yeah, 3. That sounds great. Okay, and our last category, zombie apocalypse. How helpful is Belle going to be in a zombie apocalypse?
Ooh, good question.
She's super brave.
She is brave. She tried to hold her own against those wolves.
She was trying to fight off wolves with a stick.
She was fighting off wolves with a stick.
Also, she has at least a minor understanding of first aid.
True. Let's give her a 4 because if she like actually carried a weapon or something, she's a total 5. But she's not actually trained in combat. So
right. She's just kind of helpful to like we wouldn't want to send her out on the mission to like get the stuff. We would like keep her back in the building to like take care of whoever got hurt.
Mayhaps. Maybe. Either way, she's good to have on my team. Like if we get broken up into teams to go fight zombies and we have to draw lots and I end up with Belle on my team,
I feel pretty good.
I feel good about this. Yeah.
I did also have a dream one time in which Belle was wearing like black leather outfits and was fighting against this alien invasion, and it was ridiculous. And she was like super duper hardcore, but that's my imaginary brain space. That is your
imaginary dream. I don't think you can use it to rate her
Probably
at this
not.
time.
No, I just wanted to share that story because it was really interesting.
Great story. Very cool.
Great story. I don't think I can go as high as a 4 just because I feel like I think I have to do a 3 or a 3.5.
Okay. Well, what have our other girls gotten? I feel like that'll help us. Who's gotten the most so far?
The one who has the most so far is Cinderella, weirdly.
I somehow talked you into that, and I don't know how
I don't know how you did that. How did who? Okay, this is like when Lonnie convinced Alistair over on Dusted to place Reptile Boy really high on their big list of every Buffy episode ever, and then they would talk about it constantly later, being like, "I don't know how I let happened. You talk." Yeah, exactly. I don't know why this happened. Yep. I have no idea. What, Liz? Can you explain to me why Cinderella has a 3.5 in the zombie apocalypse?
3.5 is not that high, but now we can give Belle a 4 because she's going to do better than Cinderella, right?
Okay, here's the thing. So Cinderella has a 3.5, which is completely baffling to me. I have no idea how she got that number, except that I love you and want to please you. And
I think I had some kind of argument like that.
She was really sweet and like people want to take care of her. Like,
I think that was my argument. It was
people?
Weird. I don't remember.
So
I was
Cinderella
like, look, everyone is always going to be fighting for Cinderella. I don't remember what it was, but I won. Clearly.
I guess, yeah. So Cinderella brain ninjas people into taking care of her in the same way that you brain ninja me into giving her a 3.5 out of 5, which is more than half in zombie. Okay, well, Snow White and Sleeping Beauty both got a 1.
Oy.
So, and Ariel got a 3.
Okay. Yeah, so let's give Belle a 4.
Okay, that sounds
great.
great.
She's smoking those ladies.
Probably so. She's probably better than them. Okay, I'm going to add these together really quick, and we're going to see if we need a Lily bonus point, which I don't know how we'll do that.
I don't think we're going to need one.
Probably
though,
not.
Right?
No,
I'm pretty sure that
actually, I can do this in my
away.
head. Let's see. 5, 10, 15, 20, 24.
24.
Huh.
Is she our new reigning champion?
She is not. Cinderella is at 26. Hang on. That can't be right
no,
then.
No.
5, 10,
Count
15.
Again. I don't think so.
5 and 5 is 10, plus 2 is 12, plus 5 is 17, plus 3 is 20, plus 4 is 24. It's because of the
Philippe.
2. It's because of Philippe.
Philippe totally lost it for Belle.
Philippe lost it for Belle.
Where have you taken us, Philippe?
Where did you go? Which, okay, I feel like...
Not his fault.
Yeah.
I am not into animals, but as a kid, I was like, whoa.
Wait a second. He tried. He
was
did
doing
his best.
The best he could. All right.
Maybe Philippe is like just a really old horse, and he's just like, I'm getting too old for this crap. Like, I can't do this anymore. Okay, so our reigning champion is still Cinderella with a 26.
Wow.
Immediately after her is
proud of my
Ariel
girl.
with a 25, and Belle at 24, which will break Alan's heart, but it's not his podcast, so whatevs.
The truth is in the numbers. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Between Philippe and the songs...
It's true.
Not being
right, because Cinderella gets her songs and Ariel
Yeah.
gets Part of Your World, which is
a great
big deal.
Song.
And
a
then
big deal.
Flounder and Sebastian do not turn into people at the end of the movie.
Also true.
So yeah, that's where we stay with Belle. Belle is currently in 3rd place out of all of ours. Don't worry, Snow White is still the worst. Or is it Sleeping Beauty? I don't know. I've already closed the thing out. They're still not really, really great. Although I believe that next week we do have a contender for worst Disney princess
we're gonna have
ever.
A contender, yeah. Jasmine.
Neither of us are fans of Jasmine, particularly.
But it's been a long time, and I really am interested to see it because again, Snow White really surprised us.
Right,
she stepped up more than we thought that she was going to.
Yes,
I'm hoping that Jasmine will do that as well.
I hope
think
so.
She does have some redeeming moments.
I really feel like she doesn't, because here's the thing about the movie Aladdin: it is not a Disney princess movie.
No,
it is a Disney prince movie.
Totally,
it's about Aladdin, and like Jasmine is the Prince Philip and the Prince Charming and the Prince Eric, and she is. It's complete reversal, but. This is Disney Princess Deathmatch.
Disney toy aisle at Target.
It's true. Yeah.
You can't find Aladdin there, and Jasmine's all over the place.
Yeah. I don't know what. Well, I mean, we'll just have to see next week what happens.
Stay tuned, folks.
Yeah. Although I think we may have shown our hand already. Really, we're just waiting to get through Tangled so we can just be like, 5's all the way down. What are we doing? Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Right. It is so much fun doing this. Liz, I love when we don't have to Skype these podcasts.
Oh my gosh, it's infinitely better.
Being able to sit next to you.
Infinitely better.
Seriously.
I'm going to get rich. I'm going to buy us our sweet little, acreage out in the woods, our little cul-de-sac. We can all just live there together and hang out, and we'll never have to Skype again.
Yes, because Skype is the worst.
Skype is the worst.
If you'd like to get in touch with us about Belle's score today, if we turn up dead, check Alan first.
Totally.
Because he's the one who murdered us. Belle is his girl. And he's going to be very upset that she did not instantly win and that we just gave up after this point. And the next 8 episodes were more reasons why Belle is great. But if you'd like to get in touch with us and talk to us about who is your favorite, do you think that our numbers are completely wrong? Do you think we're actually doing a pretty decent job, all things considered? You can get in touch with us on Twitter. You can reach me at Elsa Grab the Salt.
I'm at Lizbeth Ray 555.
And if you want to talk about Disney Princess Deathmatch on Twitter, the hashtag is not super creative or cool. It's just hashtag DPDM, Disney Princess Deathmatch.
Yep.
And so you can join the conversation over there. Disney Princess Deathmatch is a production of Common Room Radio, which is our network, our family of podcasts, where we invite all of our listeners to pull up a chair and join in the conversation. You can do that on Twitter, like we said. You can also find us on Facebook, going to facebook.com/commonroomcast. You can find us over on Patreon. If you enjoyed this show, if you like what we're doing, if you've listened to some of the other shows on the network, like Odd Man Out, which is currently on hiatus, but it's coming back. If you've listened to Roll for Topic, if you're listening to Disney Princess Deathmatch and you're really enjoying it, you can kick us $1 a month or whatever you can afford at patreon.com/commonroomradio. You can also visit commonroomradio.com. That has all of our shows just listed right there for you to find and listen to everything. All of it.
All of our things.
Everything. And I think that's going to do it for us.
It is. Thanks again so much for listening. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, nope.
That's
I got
Sarah's
nothing.
train of thought.
Yeah.
It's way over there somewhere.
Yeah, it just. I was like, do I have anything else to add to that? Nope, I sure don't. I like Jodie Benson. I like Little Mermaid. And Joshua, if you leave that in, I will be so mad. That is not the blooper sound. Okay? Do you hear me?